Space and the ocean have a lot in common. They're both very cold, they're both very dark, and they both put tremendous pressure on anything foolish enough to try and enter them without the proper equipment. Basically, space and the ocean are kind of like an evil stepmother, an abusive ex-husband. They might seem completely different on the outside, but under the surface, they're actually pretty similar, and both are extremely unforgiving. For all our advances in technology, humans still haven't figured out how to survive in either one for very long. I mean, we've been exploring space for only around 60 years, and we've barely scratched the surface of the ocean. Like there are entire species of fish that have never seen a human, and there are parts of the ocean that have never seen sunlight. Space is even more mysterious, although maybe not as full of fish. So because there is so much that we don't know about both the ocean and space, it can be hard to understand why NASA, an acronym that basically stands for National Aeronautics and Space Administration, has become so obsessed with one of them. That's right. In recent years, NASA has spent billions exploring our oceans, and considering that this is the same organization responsible for sending people to the moon, that seems kind of weird. Now, if you're wondering why we're spending so much time talking about NASA, it's because this year they released a ton of footage taken by these robots. And this footage has revealed some really cool stuff, like a crab that looks like an alien, an octopus garden, this adorable seahorse, and a whole bunch of other things we probably shouldn't be looking at, according to Reddit. Anyway, before we get into what exactly NASA is doing down there, let's talk about why they started doing it in the first place. If you're a NASA employee, you probably already know this, but space is kind of hard to get to. Between the vacuum, the radiation, and the fact that it's basically just big rocks floating in the void of nothingness, there aren't exactly tons of places to explore up there. On the other hand, 70% of the Earth is covered in water, so there's way more real estate down there than up there. But that's not why NASA started exploring the ocean. In fact, they didn't even start exploring the ocean until the late 80s. The main reason they got so interested was because of climate change. As it turns out, the ocean plays a huge role in regulating the global climate, and scientists think it'll play an even bigger role in the future. To explain why, let's quickly recap what's happening to our planet. Humans burning fossil fuels have caused the amount of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere to increase by around 50% since the Industrial Revolution. Greenhouse gases like water vapor, carbon dioxide and methane work like a blanket wrapped around the Earth. They allow sunlight to pass through, but then they absorb the heat that would normally radiate back into space. This keeps the Earth habitable instead of an ice cube, which is nice. But too many greenhouse gases make the blanket too thick, and the Earth gets uncomfortably hot. Most of the extra heat caused by climate change has gone into the ocean. In fact, the ocean has absorbed about 90% of the increased energy. This means that rising sea levels, higher ocean temperatures, and less snow and ice in the Arctic are all side effects of the ocean trying to reach a new equilibrium. The problem is that when the ocean absorbs all this extra heat, it also takes in more carbon dioxide from the air. And it turns out that warmer surface waters are worse at storing carbon dioxide than colder ones. So as the ocean gets warmer, it starts releasing more carbon dioxide back into the atmosphere, which leads to more warming and more changes to the ocean. It's a vicious cycle. And that's not the only problem. Climate change is also causing the permafrost in the Arctic Circle to thaw. When this happens, it releases frozen methane and carbon reserves that have been trapped for hundreds or thousands of years. This just adds more fuel to the fire and makes everything worse. So given all that, it makes sense that NASA would want to study the ocean. Unfortunately, the robots they've been sending down there don't seem to be making much progress. Despite having spent billions, they've mostly just found crabs, octopuses, seahorses, and whatever the heck this is. Now, I'm sure this footage is helpful in some way, but ultimately, it doesn't seem like the most efficient use of NASA's resources. Then again, I'm no expert. All I know about the ocean is that fish live in it, and sometimes they attack sharks, which honestly doesn't seem that complicated. Still, I can't help but wonder what all this will accomplish. Like yes, the ocean does play a major role in the global climate system, but we're also pumping carbon dioxide into the atmosphere faster than ever before. And on top of that, we're cutting down rainforests that used to be giant carbon sinks. So even if we figure out exactly how the ocean is responding to all this, it's unlikely to slow us down. Plus, the ocean isn't even the biggest problem. Almost all of the extra carbon dioxide humans produce ends up in the atmosphere. And while the ocean absorbs about 30% of that, the land only absorbs about 3%. That means that half of all human-produced carbon dioxide goes directly into the atmosphere and causes problems there. The Arctic Circle isn't the only place where global warming is melting things. Rising temperatures are also causing glaciers around the world to disappear. At the rate things are going now, we could lose all of the world's glaciers in the next 300 years. You might be thinking, well, glaciers don't do anything for me. We should just get rid of them. And to that I say, shut up, because even though you might not be affected by rising sea levels or extreme weather today, your grandchildren definitely will be. Seawater is already 30% more acidic than it was 100 years ago. And unless we do something about it, it'll continue getting worse. I know all of this sounds depressing, but it doesn't have to be. There are lots of people who are working on ways to fix this problem. For example, some companies are experimenting with machines that suck carbon dioxide out of the air. Others are investing in methods that store carbon dioxide deep underground. And of course, there are plenty of scientists that are doing research in the ocean to better understand what's happening there. The point is, there are lots of jobs you can get into that will allow you to make a difference. You just have to look for them. Although if you want to go to space, you're probably still gonna need a rocket. So what should we talk about next? Please leave a comment below. And while you're at it, please subscribe and follow. If you want to watch another video, click here or click here. If you want to get in touch, you can email us at the address provided below. And finally, if you want to support us, you can go to our website and donate whatever you'd like. Our videos are free for everyone, but it does cost money to make them. So any donations help us keep things running. Thank you for watching.